Welcome to True Stories, a place where ordinary lives unravel into chilling encounters, where every detail is real, and every choice carries a weight that lingers. Tonight's story takes us behind the counter of a Domino's, into the hidden world of desperation, dangerous deals, and one delivery that should never have been made. It wasn't always this way. There was a time when I carried myself with pride, when my work felt steady, and every paycheck meant security. But life has a cruel way of pulling the rug from under you. For me, it started the year I turned 33. I was working at a parts factory in Detroit, union pay, insurance, steady hours. Then the recession came like a tidal wave, swallowing the company one layoff at a time. Within weeks, I was out of a job. 3 months later, my wife, Hannah, and I were expecting our first child. The timing couldn't have been worse. I chased every lead I could find: repair shops, construction sites, warehouse shifts. Nothing stuck. Bills piled high on the kitchen table. Rent reminders came like clockwork. My pride shrank with every unopened envelope. That's how I ended up at a Domino's on the east side of the city. It wasn't much, but it kept the lights on. I told myself it was temporary, just a stepping stone until something better came along. But sometimes, survival tricks you into staying longer than you should. That's when Darren entered my life. We weren't friends at first. He was tall, smooth-talking, always juggling women and carrying the faint smell of gasoline and weed. We worked a few late shifts together. I barely noticed him until one bitter Tuesday night when he asked, "You want to make some real money?" I laughed it off, but desperation makes you listen longer than you should. He promised it was easy, just driving jobs, no questions, no strings. I didn't say yes right away. But 3 days later, when he dangled the offer again, I agreed. He sent me to meet a man named Victor behind a boarded-up diner on the outskirts. Victor looked like he hadn't slept in days, twitchy and restless. He handed me the keys to a dented Buick and pointed to the GPS on the dash. "Just follow it. Leave the car where it tells you. Don't open the trunk." It was almost too simple. I drove 2 hours, left the car at a run-down truck stop in Ohio, slid the keys beneath a dumpster, and got picked up by another car. By the time I made it home, there was $500 waiting in an envelope under my doormat. I should have walked away, but when you're drowning, money feels like oxygen. For the next 4 months, I lived a double life: pizza driver by day, something darker by night. Darren lined up the jobs and I kept my head down. Hannah never asked questions. She just smiled when I brought home groceries and paid off the rent. "Looks like you're finally catching a break," she said. I couldn't look her in the eye when she said it. Everything ran smooth until one Friday night when Darren pulled me aside at Domino's, jittery and pale. "One last run tonight," he whispered. Bigger payoff, but sensitive. He shoved a set of keys into my hand. No stops, no talking, just follow the route. The car waiting behind the store wasn't the usual beater. This one was spotless: leather seats, tinted windows, GPS already glowing with a destination: a farmhouse 2 hours west. The drive was suffocatingly quiet, the kind of silence that makes your chest heavy. When I pulled up, the farmhouse was dark. No cars, no lights, just a broken swing creaking in the wind. I waited. Then the GPS screen lit up with new instructions: open the trunk. My stomach turned. That was never part of the deal. I sat frozen until the message flashed again: do it now. With shaking hands, I popped the latch. When I saw what was inside, I staggered back and vomited into the dirt. A person, gagged, tied, barely breathing, their eyes half open, pleading silently. Panic overtook me. I slammed the trunk, jumped back into the car, and tore down the dirt road, gravel spitting from the tires. My mind screamed. I couldn't go home, couldn't go to the cops, couldn't trust anyone. I drove aimlessly until I found an abandoned rest stop, parked, and cried until there was nothing left in me. I tried calling Darren. No answer. Texts went unanswered. By sunrise, I dumped the car in an alley behind a rundown motel, walked for miles, and swore I'd never go back to Domino's.
The next morning, I packed a bag and left the city. Hannah never learned the truth. I told her I found construction work in another state. A year later, our marriage fell apart under the weight of unspoken things. Sometimes, in the quiet of night, I wonder if that person in the trunk survived or if I abandoned them to Darren's world. Now I live under a different name, working at a scrapyard where the clang of crushed metal drowns out my thoughts. But the past never lets go. Whenever I hear the familiar ding of a Domino's oven, I see that face again, eyes wide, lips moving like they were begging me to save them. I remember the whisper of silence, the kind that hides horrors behind locked doors and closed mouths. And I know this truth. The worst mistakes aren't the ones we shout about, they're the ones we keep buried in silence. Moral of the story: desperation can make us blind to danger, but silence in the face of wrongdoing costs more than money ever pays. Choices made in fear can haunt a lifetime.